Okay, hi Sylvia. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, let's get started. Page 47. All right, so this is call 3 of the Conscious Leadership book reading. It's Tuesday, February 5th, or wherever you are listening to the replay on YouTube or wherever you're listening from. Welcome. I am happy to have you here. So today we're going to continue reading, and we are going to talk about the 9 parts of harnessing conscious leadership. I read them all out last time. I'll read them again, and then we're going to extrapolate on every single point. So here we go.
Chapter for me because I have him an e-reader, so I don't have the same
the page. Okay, let me see if I can tell you. We're starting chapter 6.
Chapter 6. Okay.
Yeah, very good question. Actually, we're not starting it. We read the first page and a half of chapter 6. And we're on the points 1 to 9. You'll see the points when you get to chapter 6. Okay, great. Good point, because for those people who are watching the replay, they would need to know that too. Okay, so each leader can choose to expand their awareness and get out of mass density vibration levels at any time by number 1, choosing to expand. Number 2, living in the question. Number 3, living in 10-second increments. Number 4, embracing ease, joy, and glory. Number 5, letting go of form, structure, and significance. Number 6, having no fixed point of view. Number 7, the willingness to receive everything without judgment. Number 8, being in total allowance for everything. Number 9, trusting the flow of the universe. So let's start with number 1, choosing to expand. No matter who leaders are, nor what circumstances they find themselves in, their crucial choice is always the same, either to expand their awareness or contract it. Teresa, this is a funny request, but could you text Anthony and ask him to bring me a glass of water, please? Thank you. Conscious leadership is the very process of expanding, not of arriving at a different set of limits. Conscious leaders are an unlimited being in this instant if they choose to be. Choosing to expand is completely internal. That is, it has nothing to do with anything or anyone else except leaders themselves. Okay, that's really cool. It just like it says in the How to Become Money workbook, you get to take up the power of you. And nobody is going to, it's totally about you. It's totally about you choosing for you. Nobody's ever going to choose this for you. And I had an awesome epiphany sometime, I don't remember when, some time ago, when I had heard Gary say, like, nobody's ever going to choose this for you. And I realized I was going through a really rough time, and I realized I could live and die this way, and things wouldn't get any better. And no one would really notice. No one could force me to change, try to get me to change. It's like I can live and die a mediocre existence, and nobody's going to change that for me. And that was an awesome point of realization for me. Nobody's going to come after me. My husband's not going to do it for me. Nobody's going to do it for me. I can live and die mediocre, and nobody's really, really going to get me to change or choose or notice. Okay? So that's a great conversation for you to have with yourself. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's a conversation. That was really funny. The water chain. But that's a brilliant conversation to have with yourself, because nobody's going to do this for you. Nobody's going to ask you to do it. Nobody's going to request it of you. Nobody is going to, people will care, but most people care whether you have more in your life or not, and they care that you don't have more so that they can feel better about themselves. So nobody's going to ask you to go beyond this reality. Yes, our facilitator is going to encourage you and help you when you require it, sure. But nobody's going to do it for you, and nobody is going to make the focus of their life making your life better. You're the only person who can do this for yourself. And you can choose to live and die any way that you choose. It's completely up to you. Okay? So I got to the point where I went, fuck, if I'm going to, I could just stay this way forever if I don't get my head out of my ass and start using the tools and doing everything I can to get happy. So what if it's like, this is your life, nobody's going to choose it for you. Now, do you want to live and die mediocre, or do you want to do everything it takes and use every tool that you have at your disposal to become everything that you are? All right. So I'll repeat that again. Conscious leaders are an unlimited being in this instant if they choose to be. Choosing to expand is completely internal. And by that she means the only person who can choose this is you. That is, it has nothing to do with anything or anyone except leaders themselves. It is the commitment to themselves that they never let themselves live by anyone else's judgment and reality ever again, no matter what, not even their own judgment, whatever it takes. This, of course, works only if leaders are sincere and willing to be aware. And awareness is the key to consciousness. When leaders choose to expand, they have to be willing to create a life that is greater than what they have now. The only way leaders create in the moment and be on the edge of creation of their life is if they are willing to destroy everything they have decided is their true experience. Leaders have to be willing to be indefinable and willing to be receptive, yielding, open, and naturally connected to life, spirit, and all that is. When choosing to expand, leaders have to give up the idea that there's something wrong with them, that they have to give up all the I ams. Definition is always limitation. The essential questions that leaders have to consider are, am I willing to give up everything I think I am, or everything I've pretended I am? Am I willing to give up everything I've decided I am, or I've decided I should be? If leaders will destroy and uncreate all those realities, they can receive everything that is available to them, and all new possibilities can show up in their lives. When leaders destroy and uncreate everything they have decided their experiences are, they will open the door to constantly be in the state of creation of their lives, rather than living it based on the past. It is in this state of creation of their lives, when leaders are truly being, truly connected, and allowing the grace of life to flow through them, they are experiencing expansion. Choosing to expand entails opening our heart, being in the moment, choosing with awareness, and having a willingness to experience our existence without form, structure, and significance. If leaders are choosing anything other than joy, bliss, ecstasy, happiness, abundance, etc., they are functioning as unconsciousness. The basis of choosing to expand is to ask this question: what am I choosing here in this moment? Expansion or contraction? There's incredible power in the simple declaration, I choose to expand. I choose ease and joy and glory. Ease and joy and glory are the energy and the manifestation of leaders' knowing. True knowing is the ultimate freedom. True. The only thing that gives true freedom is knowing, and the only thing that gives true knowing is total consciousness. Another great question to use regularly is, how does it get any better than this? Don't try to answer this. Let the universe answer it for you. Asking this question is one of the fastest ways to lighten the energy of a situation. It is a ticket for getting out of where leaders are stuck. If leaders find themselves having some kind of difficulty or are involved in an incongruity, or even if they are feeling agitated, weary, or out of sorts, the best way to lighten the energy is to ask the question, how does it get better than this? When leaders use this question, they are inviting the universe to provide them with information, to tell them or show them how it gets better. What's more, if leaders are in a situation in which things are working out well or they're feeling great, leaders can also ask, how does it get better than this? This is a powerful question to ask, as it invites the universe to show leaders that there are infinite possibilities. If the energy is light and ease, it will get even more glorious and magnificent. So whether something goes wrong in a leader's life or whether something goes right in their life, just keep asking, how does it get better than this, as an invitation. Okay, little gray box time. Key points. Recognize that your thoughts, feelings, and emotions are only energy. They have no significance unless you make it so. If you make it significant, you make it heavy. If it is significant, it becomes solidity, and then you have trapped yourself. Okay, so no form, no structure, no significance. Whenever you find yourself doing the right thing or behaving the right way, rather than the way that lights you up and feels more expansive, you're being unconscious and on the road to anti-consciousness. Love it. I'm reading that again. That's awesome. That's a good rule of thumb. Whenever you find yourself doing the right thing or behaving the right way, rather than the way that lights you up and feels more expansive, you are being unconscious and on the road to anti-conscious. Oh, amazing. Whenever you find yourself doing discrimination, judgment, differentiation, rejection, expectation, and separation, you are choosing contraction. All right, page 51 of chapter 6, for those of you just joining. We're about 4 or 5 pages into chapter 6, and we're starting with the heading, Living in the Question. A tool for leaders to really begin to create their lives and their realities with awareness is to live in the question. Living in the question is a most powerful tool from Access Consciousness that enables us to function from the knowing. As it can facilitate leaders to perceive outside a fixed and limited view of reality, beyond the limited and elusive content of thought. When conscious leaders learn to live in the question rather than being besieged by problems or become vested in finding answers and solutions, they are able to create their life more consciously. By living in the question, conscious leaders are able to be totally present, able to function in the simultaneity of past, present, and future, and thus not be influenced unconsciously by past events or future concerns. Most people function as if they are living in some kind of a maze. Oh, amen. Amen. Most people function as if they are living in some kind of a maze. So everywhere you have created some kind of a maze, will you destroy and uncreate at all times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 pod, poc, shorts, boys and beyonds. A maze. Albana is asking, what is a maze? So for those of you who, let's see, what's maze? I'll look it up. It's like a labyrinth, like where you go through. This is for people who English is not their first language. Maze is a network of paths and hedges designed as a puzzle through one which has to find his way. A complex network of paths or passages, a confusing mass of information. So a confusing mass of information. So it's like where you go through those paths, like a corn maze, or you just can't get through. It's really confusing and there's no clarity. Cool. Yeah. I've been just shouting on the rooftops about Marie Kondo, who has this new Netflix show. She's a lady from Japan who teaches the Japanese art of decluttering and tidying up. And she's really cool. She's really beautiful. She sits on the floor she picks her favorite spot in the house when she goes in to declutter somebody's house with them. And she sits in her favorite spot, or a spot that sparks joy. Oh my gosh, Nicole's decluttering right now. Amazing.
How did you bring that up? That's what I am hearing. Because you inspired me last time.
Yes! More people are sparking joy. That's so cool, Nicole. That's awesome. Oh my
That's
god.
why the video is not on.
Okay, I totally get it. This is totally making my day. See? Oh, yay. Yeah, and it's just, you guys have to go to this show. It's a Netflix original, and she basically, so she'll go into the home, she'll sit on the floor and talk to the molecules of the house and let them know that she's there and ask for their guidance, the house's guidance and contribution in cleaning the house and decluttering the house. And then every object that she picks up, she asks, does this, when you are decluttering, every object you pick up, you ask, does this spark joy? And if it sparks joy, you keep it. And if it doesn't spark joy, you say thank you to the object, you thank it for what it has contributed to you, and you get rid of it. So you gotta watch the show. I mean, it's fabulous. It's really fun. I'm on episode 5. And it's changing the way that I'm communicating with all of the things in my house. And what if you were only surrounded by things that spark joy? And that's where you want to get to. So anyways, this line reminded me of a maze, or the maze reminded me of this, because how much of your house is a maze? How much of your accounting is a maze? How much of your, desk is a maze? And it's not that you have to be perfectly tidy, but if you had no items that weren't energetically desiring to be with you anymore, you have so much more energy and so much more possibility. So when I called my mom and I was telling her about this show, she's like, I heard about this show that everybody's into right now where thrift stores are being overloaded with donations. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely the show, Mom. So it's pretty cool. All right. So most people function. Oh, Albina is saying something. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Can I please type the name of the show? So it's called Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. And it's a Netflix original. So that means you'll get it in any country because it's just Netflix. If you have a Netflix subscription. Albina says, oh, Pock and Pod, the maze I'm creating from the same people. Yeah. Which people in your life spark joy? If they don't spark joy, send those people to a thrift shop and let somebody else buy them. Hey, that's actually a really cool acknowledgement. I have really, really shifted the people in my life, over the time I've done Access, to only keeping the people in my life who actually spark joy. And then maybe a few relatives, but that's okay. I just practice allowance with them. No, and you never want to actually exclude anybody from your life, ever. No exclusion. Just allowance. So, but the daily people only spark joy. Okay. So most people function as if they are living in some kind of a maze and are desperately looking to find their way out. They create their lives and their realities by trying to know the answers to who, what, when, where, and why they are, and always try to create a clear picture from the elusive content of their mind. So how much do you actually hoard and clutter your head? Because you don't want that much space to create. And everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 pod, poc, shorts, boys and beyonds. I mean, how many entities do you have hoarded around you? How many of those entities would actually like to go and be cleared? Okay? So you got to look at all this and you got to go, if I was rearranging my life in a way that created total clarity, peace, ease, joy, and glory beyond this reality, how would I create my life? Okay? And you want to move out the things that don't contribute and ask the universe to add things that do contribute. Okay? Sir Pill, do you have a question?
Yes. Hi, Julia. Thank you. So is it normal when I puke now when you speak about mess? Mess?
Yeah, that would be not a surprising reaction to puke. Your body's probably pretty sick of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. With access consciousness, basically the rule of thumb is these things are totally normal when it comes to change. Puking, dizziness, diarrhea. Hey, it could be like an Imodium commercial. Laughing, crying, wanting to die, thinking you're dying, having thoughts about checking yourself into a mental institution. It's all normal, and it'll pass. Change just is different. It's a different space. You're creating a different proprioceptive reality. Okay, cool. So they create their lives and their realities by trying to know the answers to who, what, when, where, and why they are, and always trying to create a clear picture from the elusive content of their mind. Okay? So what would you have to do to change the elusive content of your mind? And what would you have to be? This is not just about decluttering your house. What energies would you have to be? And what would you have to add to your life to change that? See, if your life is wildly exciting and invigorating and fun and eventful, and you know you're changing the world every second of every day, you're so excited that the elusive content of your mind just falls away. It's not important anymore because you just have so many wonderful things going on and you're creating so much. So what if it's not about getting rid of the elusive content, but rather out creating the elusive content by the magic that you add with the joy of what you do? Like, I was bored for a period, so I started taking piano lessons again. I started going to aerial silks classes. I started doing all kinds of things. And they weren't even necessarily access-based. I was just like, what else can I add to my life? And I was like, I really want to start doing aerial silks. I really want to fly around on those ropes. And so I went and did it. And I don't even do it that much lately because I'm so busy with other things. But that added energy to my life. So it's not linear. It's just, what can I add to my life? Maybe it's yoga. Maybe it's monster truck rallies. Maybe you need more monster truck rallies in your life. Who knows? It's different for each of us. Sir Pill?
So these are entities when someone pukes?
Could be. You got to ask the question. I can't give you the answer. You have to come to your own awareness.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, cool. All right, let's continue. Awesome. So these people create their lives by directing statements or delivering vested answers at the universe or towards themselves and others, rather than asking questions. Their statements, vested answers, and inner messages accumulate at various levels of leaders' consciousness. Some are deeply embedded and insidious, and many are disempowering, which limits leaders' perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving. To create their reality consciously, leaders need to stop starting what it is and start living from the question. When leaders are stating and defining the problem, they are operating out of finiteness, not infiniteness. This keeps them in the box with no way out. Anytime leaders vest themselves in the problems or the answers, they have given it form, structure, and significance. And form, structure, and significance is also one of the same energies that keeps our houses cluttered, because we make things significant so we won't let go of them. If somebody gives me a gift and I don't like the gift, I used to have guilt getting rid of it. And now I go, thank you, and I get rid of it. And I'm not going to live among things that don't create greater in my world. Okay? This can take a leader's freedom away without them realizing it. Learning to be conscious of what they are thinking and stating to themselves and others is very important. Catching themselves being conscious of what they are thinking and stating is the key. To become conscious of what they are thinking and stating to themselves and others, leaders may want to take a few moments to reflect on what statements guide them through their day. What do they think or state to themselves when they awaken in the morning, when they get ready for work, when they meet with a client? I mean, how many times a day are you using the tool money come? You know, you just ask for money to come. You talk to it. You can't expect money to come into your life if you don't ask it. You have to ask. Money come, money come, money come, money come, money come, money come, money come. That's something that is bringing money into your life. Or is more of what you're saying unconsciously, oh, how am I going to pay this bill? I hate money. I can't do this because I don't have the money. That's pushing money away, pushing it away, pushing it away. When you hear yourself thinking those thoughts, you just stop and say, money come, money come, money come, 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 money come, money come, come, come. Okay? So what are they saying when they awaken in the morning, when they get ready for work, when they meet with a client, when they prepare for an important meeting, when they make decisions affecting other people, when people come to them with problems, when they're in the work environment, when they are spending time with their friends and family, when they fall asleep at night? As leaders become aware of their normal and habitual statements or questions, leaders may find that the statements are helpful or unhelpful, empowering or disempowering, clear or confusing. Now, Chutisa is being very nice in what she's saying because most of what people are thinking is unhelpful, disempowering, and confusing. Some may lead leaders to the responses or answers that they truly desire. Some may evade the true issues. The statements leaders use in their mind can have a major bearing on their lives. Leaders' lives are created by the choice of the statements they are thinking and using in this moment. If leaders are not happy and content with the way their lives are happening, leaders need to look at the thoughts they are having. If leaders want to change their experience, they need to destroy and uncreate their current thinking in order to perceive something new. Oh, excuse me. Leaders need to cultivate the attitude of inviting curiosity, of willingness to give up the need for being right in order to allow the new possibilities to manifest in their life. The key is to be conscious and aware of the quality of their thinking. Whenever leaders perceive themselves having negative and unproductive thoughts, or being besieged by problems, or vested in finding answers and solutions, leaders can choose to replace them with more conscious questions. Living in the question is a process that allows leaders to gain access to pure consciousness and infinite possibilities. Questions are powerful magic. A question empowers, whereas an answer most often disempowers and limits. Asking questions allows the answer to manifest by allowing the universe to provide clarity. The universe has all kinds of unlimited answers that leaders don't have available to them because they try to function from their finite point of view of, I've got to figure it out. When conscious leaders live in the question, rather than trying to figure the answer out, they allow the universe to provide an answer which is greater than leaders can determine or imagine. The universe is an unlimited place with unlimited possibilities. It will give you unlimited answers if leaders choose to ask. Living in the question allows conscious leaders to bypass their mental control and remove judgment, rationalization, and justification. I mean, this book is totally revolutionary. Like, think about, I don't know if any of you are CEOs who have hopped on this call so you can learn how to be a better CEO. But, like, think about it. If CEOs are, like, in, you know, because Stephen Chutisa trained CEOs. They're the top leadership coaches in Australia for business leaders. And so they go in, they charge $10,000 a day, and they go in and they train all of the staff how to ask questions, how to be interesting point of view. And they don't say this is access consciousness. They go in and they talk the talk of the office and how things work, but they go in and empower. And like, so they give this book to the people who they empower and have never heard of Access and are in the corporate structure. And like, these are revolutionary things to say, you know, to remove judgment, rationalization, and justification. Where are you told in business to not be rational? You're not. This is a different reality. Okay? So mental control and linear thinking impair the leader's clarity and prevents them from perceiving what is possible beyond their limited beyond their limited imagination or expectations. When leaders ask the questions, things start to show up in magical ways. By asking questions, leaders allow the universe and their inner knowing the opportunity to provide answers that the mind cannot figure out. However, if leaders say the answer is ... instead of asking the question, they will instantly limit the possibilities and stop the unlimited answers from manifesting. The certainty is that if leaders are able to function in the question, instead of searching for the answer or focusing on the problem, their lives and circumstances will become ease and joy and glory. Okay? So here are examples of what people often say to themselves when they deal with business issues and concerns. Excuse me. This is so complicated. Okay? How often do you say this is so complicated? This is so complicated, I don't even know where to start. I can't get my head around the details. I don't know how to deal with this situation. My job is on the line if I can't fix this problem. I've got to figure it out. I don't know what to do about this problem. I am so worried. I can't possibly do this, etc. If leaders think I can't do this, are they ever going to be able to do it? Instead of having these unproductive thoughts and being overwhelmed by problems, leaders can choose to ask more conscious questions, such as, what is it I'm not getting about this? What am I pretending not to know or denying I know about this? What would it take for blank to happen? Like, what would it take for a problem to just solve itself instantly? Okay? Sorry, guys. Excuse me. Okay. What would it take for this to be solved instantly or changed? What are the infinite possibilities that this will work out much better than we could ever imagine? These questions are exceptional tools for how to know what is the appropriate thing to do about the situation or the problem. When leaders ask these types of questions, things start to show up for them in a different way. The more leaders ask the question, the more aware leaders become of the options and possibilities they have. When asking the question, it is essential to avoid having expected outcomes. The key question is, what are the infinite possibilities in this moment? In this way, unlimited potential and infinite possibilities will emerge in ways that leaders may never have imagined possible. The questions must be asked with genuine wonder, not with attitude and not with attitude and certain expected outcomes. Stop seeking answers. Instead, put the focus on the questions themselves. The magic is this. If leaders ask the questions with total awareness and with sincerity and from their heart, their life itself will become a living answer to them. Transformation can happen through sincere questioning because leaders shift from the zone of lack and limitation and scarcity to the zone of infinite possibilities. If leaders ask the question in a non-linear and unlimited way, and if they don't have a preconceived idea and expected outcome about the answer, they set the stage for previously unthinkable leaps of consciousness. If leaders open up to genuine wonder, they step out of the zone of this reality and into that of infinite possibility. All right, so example of questions to use in everyday life. What is it going to take to get this, or to create this, or to have this? What is it going to take for this to happen? Would an infinite being choose this? What is it that I won't allow myself to have that will give me the most expansion? Which way do I go to get the most expansion possible in my life? Great question. How can I facilitate the increasing of oneness by doing ... Okay, so how can I facilitate the increasing of oneness? By going to the store, by getting the mail, by going to this birthday party. How can you facilitate the increase of oneness? What is it going to take to make blank a total success? What is it going to take to make this dinner with my parents a total success? What would it take for this dinner to be more fun than I can possibly imagine? And then you allow the universe to support you. Living in the question at work and in the business, page 55. One of the most important skills in business is to make accurate and expansive business decisions. However, most leaders tend to be tentative and cautious about making business decisions due to the fear of making an incorrect choice. Unconscious leaders tend to think it's hard enough to make a decision, let alone make the correct ones. In contrast, conscious leaders expound the virtue of using their intuitive knowing to guide them towards making the most expansive decisions. Conscious leaders are in touch with their intuitive knowing as well as the logical aspect of themselves. They are very skillful at combining their intuitive knowing with all the information they have on business matters and make their decision accordingly. From our own experience, accurate and expansive business decisions always engage leaders' abilities to perceive, know, be, and receive. In other words, does it sound right? Does it add up right? Does the energy feel right? And is it expansive for everyone concerned? These factors must be used in unison when leaders make business decisions. Leaders must be aware that the choices or results that come to them will seldom seem rational and logical at first. However, the leaders must cultivate a self-assured trust in their knowing to make expansive decisions through clarity of asking questions that will augment the flow of the correct choices. Say that 10 times fast. Let me repeat it. I'll read it again. However, leaders must cultivate a self-assured trust in their knowing to make expansive decisions. Okay, so you have to trust your knowing. But you also have to not be worried about making the right choice. Because there is no such thing as the right choice. Even the light choice is not the right choice. People mix up that tool. If it's light, if it's light, then that means it's right and I should do it. Or if it's heavy, that means it's wrong and I shouldn't do it. No. If it's light, it means that it will create a future with more lightness. And if it's heavy, it will create a future with more heaviness. But that doesn't mean that the heavy future is a wrongness or that there isn't going to be lightness in it or that everything is lost. It's better to choose something heavy than to not choose. Trust me, you've made 1 billion heavy decisions and choices, and you're okay. Just choose. Choose, 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 choose. If I want to do something, I just go and do it. I don't worry what anybody's going to think. I don't worry if it's going to make the right amount of money. I don't worry about anything. I go, I want to do that, and I go do it. And then I figure it out later. I go, okay, well, that was a shitty choice. Not going to do that again. You just gain awareness. Or you go, holy fuck, I'm way greater than I ever even knew I was. But you get awareness. Dane says, he's like, I have made more terrible choices and mistakes than most of you have made choices in your life. And he's right. I see him screw up all the time. But he's amazing, and he inspires me every single day to be greater. Every single day, my knowing Dane and my having Dane in the world and being able to read his books and listen to his classes makes my life better. So does it really matter that he's made 1 billion mistakes? At least he went out and did something. You can't wait to do this right, guys. You'll never do anything. Okay, so I'll read the really long sentence again. However, leaders must cultivate a self-assured trust in their knowing to make expansive decisions through clarity of asking questions that will augment the flow of the correct choices. Leaders must become aware of and receptive to the flow of expansive choices, which often comes in the form of new and further questions. Harnessing an intuitive knowing for business decision-making is of the essence for conscious leaders. What a good sentence. Harnessing an intuitive knowing for business decision-making is of the essence for conscious leaders. The essence. The reality is that if leaders live in the question instead of the answer, they would be able to always function from their knowing. Learning how to ask the right question is the most important thing that leaders can become skilled at. The best question leaders can ask are, what would it take for me to ask the right questions for this business to happen? Or what would it take for me to ask the right questions for me to make a correct decision? Or what would it take for me to ask the right questions to get ... accomplished? Okay? And there's no such thing as a right question, but we're just, wooing in the CEOs with the book. Okay, so the question must be asked sincerely from a place of wonder instead of justification. When conscious leaders function from their intuitive knowing, they are able to perceive solutions that cannot be worried out by the clear light of logic. Conscious leaders look at situations from the framework of wanting to get to the truth. Asking these questions in the decision-making process creates a pinnacle view, an expansive awareness view, which is the foundation for strategic decision-making, enhanced creativity, and will bring out the best in people. The reality is that if we live in the question instead of the answer, our lives will become ease and joy and glory. Gary Douglas, Access Consciousness. Operating the business with questions can open up to possibilities of new ways of doing things, working, and functioning. There are substantial values lost in organizations when leaders do not ask simple questions. Such questions probe the essential details, cut through the hot air, clarify the nonsense, wipe out the drivel, and shed light on hidden meaning. Asking employees questions will often lead to a new perspective that leaders might not have envisioned, and this will also empower the employees to know that they know. Asking the right questions is an indispensable skill for leaders and is linked to the skill of perceiving, knowing, receiving, hearing, and detecting what is said and what is not said. Asking questions in business meetings allows people to know that they know and allows them to tap into their knowing. By asking and following the energy, leaders will be able to know what question to ask next and to know what people can and can't receive. By noticing the energy that led to the question, leaders will be held to the awareness of where the person sits. When leaders are asked enough questions, they will get to that place. By noticing the energy, leaders will be able to recognize when they know something. They start to hear differently. Leaders will be able to hear the words of limitation. Just shut off the stove. That's it. Anthony is helping take care of the soup while I facilitate. I'm making Greek lemon chicken soup with orzo pasta. Who was recommended by my friend Margaret. We'll see how it goes. I'll repeat that sentence. If leaders are able to follow the energy and the impact it has on their awareness and thoughts, it is far easier to identify the issues and ask the question that brings forth useful and truthful information. And you always want the truth. In Access, we say, lie to everybody else and tell yourself the truth. Because right now, you're lying to yourself and trying to tell the truth to everybody else. Lie to others be honest with you. When leaders follow the energy, they can instantly perceive and know whether the information is truthful, untruthful, or has been filtered in some way. Truth always makes leaders feel lighter. If something makes leaders feel heavy, it's truthful, or it has been filtered in some way. If leaders think truth before they ask any question, the person, by decree of the universe, must tell the leader the truth. And if they don't tell the truth, leaders will know the person is lying or filtering the information. So that's a great way to be able to figure out if somebody is lying to you. Say truth before you ask the question. And depending on the situation, you can say truth in your head before you ask the question, or you can say truth out loud before you ask the question. Okay? Living in the 10-second increment. Oh, my new favorite topic. Lately, I've been all about living in 10-second increments. And tomorrow, I'm doing a Facebook Live on the subject. So you can join me. I think it's 4 o'clock. I sent out an email to my whole emailing list. So you guys all should have got the email. So living in the 10-second increment is an access consciousness tool for living in the present moment. Most unconscious leaders function predominantly with their thoughts in the past or the future, not aware they are missing the vast array of infinite opportunities which always exist in the present moment. In this 10-second increment, on the other hand, conscious leaders know that their power is always available in this present moment, in this 10-second increment in time. When conscious leaders live and function in the 10-second increment, they know what is important for them, and they act on that knowing. They become the conscious navigator of their own reality. Oh, we need to all get ship's captain's hats. We'll be the conscious navigators of our own reality. Conscious leaders claim, own, and acknowledge the ability to perceive everything in the universe and relate to life in spontaneous interaction with the energy of the moment. I mean, I'm always amazed. I have always been amazed by people who can just speak off the cuff. And as a facilitator, I have learned to speak off the cuff. You know, I don't come into these classes. I mean, I have a book, but all of the classes that I facilitate, I don't even think about the class before I show up. Sometimes I don't even look at who's coming to the class. I just show up. And Gary says, when I do a class, I don't ever look at the list unless I have to talk to people about attendance or something. I don't see how many people are coming. I don't have any agenda. And I sit down and I see what people require and desire. And that is so cool. And so this relates to here. They live life in spontaneous interaction with the energy of the moment. You don't go in with your speech. You be there and be what people need you to be. Okay? You don't vomit some sort of preconceived speech on them. You be there. Okay? Conscious leaders live, now that's not to say sometimes you need to write a speech, so don't worry about it. Conscious leaders live by their own awareness, consciousness, and abilities, moment by moment. They're able to see the big picture and the smallest detail at once because they claimed, owned, and acknowledged their ability to perceive, know, be, and receive. Conscious leaders know that they are in command of this 10-second increment in time, if they choose to exercise it. A key ingredient in living in the 10-second increment is the willingness to let go of a fixed position and all of the pretended stability, safety, predictability, and constancy. A fixed position is the limitation that keeps leaders from perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving. Living in the 10-second increment also requires leaders to be willing to not function with past reference points and to live without projections and expectations of what the outcome should be if they choose such and such. Each time a leader refers to past reference points, they do not choose in the moment. Functioning from past reference points causes leaders to miss the vast array of infinite possibilities and opportunities which are available and accessible in each 10-second increment. To live fully in the 10-second increment, leaders must be willing to trust that they are supported by the universe and that they will handle whatever comes their way, no matter what the outcome may be. Here is an example of a simple and effortless approach to living in the 10-second increment. Little gray box time. You have 10 seconds to choose the rest of your life. What are you going to choose? All right, that life is over. You have 10 seconds to live the rest of your life. What are you going to choose? That's how it's done. We have to choose in 10-second increments. If we are choosing anything other than joy, bliss, ecstasy, happiness, abundance, we're functioning at unconsciousness. Okay? So what can you be today to set yourself on your way? Okay? And if you're new, don't worry about it, guys. This does not happen overnight. Anthony said to Gary one time, Gary, I just need to change faster, and why am I not making all the money, and why am I not doing all these things, and why is this still not working? And he's like, dude, look at what is working. He's like, so much has changed. He's like, you're like the Titanic in the bottom of the ocean. He's like, you got to get the Titanic up out of the water, pull it up to the surface, turn the Titanic around, and get the Titanic truck in the other direction. It might take a few minutes. It's like you just do what you got to do as you do it, okay? And it will continue to go, and it will snowball. And in some time, you'll go, holy fuck, I only dreamed about the life that I have now. But it might take a little bit of time for the Titanic to get put back together and truck it along the ocean, okay? All right. Sir Pill was especially amused by that. All right. Now, where were we? I don't know. I'm just going to start below the little gray box. But that is where we were. When conscious leaders focus their attention in 10-second increments at a time, they become aware and conscious during that moment. They are not functioning from obligation, projection, expectation, judgment, or desire, and just do it consciously in the 10-second increment. They will not be experiencing an urge to do something else, to think about something else, or to be somewhere else. Conscious leaders will be able to perceive, know, be, and receive with the clarity that they have so many choices and that they can function in greater consciousness without linear cause and effect. If leaders create it in anything other than 10-second increments, they are creating from the projection and expectation of the future, which never arrives, or from the constraint and limitation of the past based on their past experience. To fully relate to life in spontaneous interaction with the energy of this 10-second increment, leaders would have to be willing to be open, vulnerable, and curious about each new moment. When leaders live in the 10-second increment, they actually open the door to constantly be in a state of creation of their lives rather than living it based on the past. Then leaders will be able to receive everything that is available to them, and all possibilities will show up. The ultimate endeavor here is for leaders to be the one who chooses, not to be the effect of anything. One of the indispensable tools for choosing consciously in the 10-second increment is asking the question. When leaders ask the question before making a choice, they will shift away from automatic, repetitive cycles towards more conscious awareness. When leaders are fully conscious, they will be able to make powerful, life-enhancing choices. Asking these questions below will facilitate leaders to bypass their limiting emotional states. I love people who are emotional. I think they're really funny. Being emotional is a great way to control everybody else around you. You're not actually emotional. You're trying to make everybody else around you controlled and get them to do what you want to do. Now, I consciously use emotion when my stepson is in the car and we're on a 5-hour road trip and he won't stop talking. I'll just start bawling. I'm just like, I can't take it anymore. You have to stop talking. Ah. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And he shuts up. You can use it consciously, just don't use it unconsciously. All right. When leaders ask these questions, they can instantly perceive whether the choice they are about to make is expanding or contracting their intensity of consciousness. Leaders may perceive the reply to the questions in the form of yes, no, or in the perception of light and heavy. What am I choosing in this 10-second increment? Would an infinite being choose this? Would this choice be expansive for me and everyone concerned? Would this choice empower me or disempower me? Would this choice lead to the creation of a conscious future, or would it keep me trapped in the past? Little gray box time. Key points. When conscious leaders create their reality by asking questions in the 10-second increment, they are fully present, open, and vulnerable. They follow their knowing and energy of the moment, trusting that they are doing what is appropriate for that moment. To fully live in the 10-second increment, leaders must be willing to trust that they are supported by the universe and that they will handle whatever comes their way, no matter what the outcome may be. It is essential to let go of expectation, projection, and what you think should be happening. This will allow you to immerse yourself in what is actually happening. All right. We're at 1 o'clock now. So we will start on embracing ease and joy and glory on page 62 next time, tomorrow, I believe. All right?
Pause. Should we look at moving Thursday and Friday's class to next week because of Global Foundation?
Oh, yeah. Are they scheduled incorrectly?
Yes.
Yes, we need to move them.
Both days, right? Because you'll be...
Thursday I can do. Thursday's fine.
Thursday's fine? Okay, so then we'll move Friday
Friday
to next Tuesday.
Yes.
Excellent. I will send that out in an email.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be totally fine. Okay, great. Thanks so much. Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
See you next time.